It's 3:15 in the afternoon. The bus drops you off. The street is empty. You walk up to the front door, and before you even reach it, your hand is already searching your pocket for the key that hangs there every single day. You let yourself in. The house is silent, and for the next 3 hours, until someone else gets home, you are completely on your own. If that sentence didn't need any explanation for you, if you just nodded because you know that silence, then this video is about you. We call it being a latchkey kid. It sounds almost quaint now, like a term from a history book. But for millions of Gen X children, it wasn't a phrase. It was Tuesday. It was every day between 3 and 6, for years, sometimes starting as young as 7 or 8 years old. And here's the thing nobody really examined at the time. What actually happens to a child's mind when they spend that much of their formative years completely unsupervised? Today, we're going to look at that seriously, not as nostalgia, but as psychology. Before we go further, if you've ever wondered why you handle stress the way you do, stick around, because this one might explain more than you expect. And if it does, a like helps this reach the people who need to hear it too. The easy story is a sad one. Lonely kid, empty house, no one checking in. And parts of that are true, but psychology tells a more complicated story, and a more interesting one. When a child is repeatedly placed in a situation where no adult is coming to solve the problem, something specific happens in how they process the world. Psychologists describe this as developing an internal locus of control, the belief that outcomes depend on your own actions, not on someone else stepping in to help. A child raised with constant supervision learns, someone will notice if something goes wrong. A latchkey kid learns something completely different. I am the one who notices. That's not a small difference. That's a different operating system. And it gets installed years before most people even know what a personality is. So when you hear someone say Gen X is annoyingly self-sufficient, what you're actually looking at is a skill that got built the hard way, one quiet afternoon at a time. Nobody handed it to them. They built it out of necessity, the same way you build calluses, not because you wanted them, but because the friction didn't stop. This shows up in ways that are easy to miss unless you know what you're looking for. The instinct to fix something yourself before calling anyone. The mild discomfort, almost suspicion, when someone else offers to handle a problem that's yours. The ability to sit alone in a quiet room without needing to fill it with noise, because you spent years doing exactly that. There's a concept in psychology called self-soothing under low support. Essentially, learning to regulate your own emotions because there simply wasn't another option in the room. A scared kid alone in a house doesn't get to have someone tell them it's okay. They have to tell themselves. And the ones who did that for years got very, very good at it. Think about the small, specific rituals that came out of this. Turning on the TV the second you walked in, not to watch anything, just so the house didn't feel so quiet. Making yourself a snack exactly the way you liked it, because there was no one to negotiate with. Checking every window before dark, not out of fear exactly, just out of habit. The habit of being the only person responsible for the building you were standing in. The catch is, once you're good at not needing anyone, it stops feeling like a coping strategy. It starts feeling like your personality. And this is where we have to be honest, because a video like this can slide too easily into pure celebration. That same independence has a cost. Children who consistently self-regulate without support don't always learn how to ask for help. They learn to skip the step entirely. Decades later, that can look like an adult who will quietly handle a crisis for everyone around them, but who goes strangely silent the moment the crisis is their own. It's not that the feelings weren't there in that empty house. It's that there was no one to bring them to. So the habit that formed wasn't, I don't have feelings. It was, I don't bring feelings to other people. Those are very different things. And most people who grew up this way have never separated the two. This is also why so many people from this generation describe feeling strange asking for anything, even as adults with every reason to ask. A ride to the airport, help moving a couch, someone to just sit with them while they process something hard. The request itself feels foreign, like a language they were never taught to speak, even though they understand every word of it when someone else says it to them.
This pattern didn't stay in childhood. It followed these kids into every room they've walked into since. At work, it's the person who never escalates a problem, who fixes what's broken quietly and only mentions it afterward, if at all. In friendships, it's the one who remembers everyone's birthday
but somehow never mentions their own. In relationships, it can look like a partner who seems completely fine right up until the moment they very clearly aren't, because there was never a rehearsal for saying, "I'm struggling," out loud. Researchers who study resilience have a name for this pattern: hyper-independence. It's not the same as healthy independence. Healthy independence means you can handle things alone if you need to. Hyper-independence means you handle things alone even when you don't need to, because some part of you never fully believed the offer of help was real. If any part of this is sounding uncomfortably familiar, drop a comment with the word "key." You'd be surprised how many people in this comment section grew up with exactly the same one around their neck. And if you haven't already, subscribing means you won't miss the next one, because we're going deeper into this generation in the coming weeks. If you're one of these kids, now in your 40s or 50s, you probably still do the math without thinking about it. You still check the locks twice. You still know exactly how long it takes water to boil, because you were making your own dinner before you were tall enough to see over the stove without a chair. You were never actually alone in this, even though it felt that way at the time. Millions of kids were doing the exact same math in the exact same silence, in houses down the street from each other, never realizing they were part of the same quiet, unplanned experiment. No one designed it. No one studied it while it was happening. It just happened to an entire generation at once, in millions of separate kitchens that all somehow ended up teaching the same lesson. So here's the honest version, not the sad one and not the inspirational one, just the real one. That empty house didn't break you, but it didn't leave you unmarked either. It gave you a kind of strength most people never have to build, and it took something too. The early, easy habit of turning to someone else when things get hard. Both of those things are true at the same time. And maybe the most useful thing you can do with that is simple. The next time something's genuinely hard, try doing the thing that 10-year-old you never had the option to do. Tell someone, just once. See what happens. If this described your childhood, you already know exactly which house you were picturing the whole time. Tell me how old you were when you got your key. And if this video explains something you've never had the words for, share it with someone who grew up in the same kind of silence. They'll know exactly what you mean.